Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, embarking on a new album review, The Lonely Island, Turtleneck and Chain. This is going to be the first time I review a comedy album, and I don't know why it's taken this long for me to do that. I love comedy. But comedy in music is seriously underrated by both fans and musicians, and I don't know why that is. Maybe everybody wants to be taken seriously all the time. But two of my favorite musical figures never cared about whether or not they were taken seriously, like Frank Zappa and Weird Al Yankovic. And I think if a group uses the right amount of comedy in their music, they can still be taken seriously but stand out among their peers, like Das Racist or that Fergus and Geronimo LP I reviewed recently. And I'm going to assume you heard these guys. If you haven't, look up I'm on a Boat or Dick in a Box. Both hilarious songs off of their last LP, Incredibad. And even though these guys hit it really big with their silly music videos, I would argue that those tracks, a lot of tracks off of that first LP, are so funny that they wouldn't necessarily need a music video with it. But of course there were a lot of tracks on that LP that weren't all that funny, like Space Olympics and Ross Trent. Silly, but not funny. On Turtleneck and Chain, we've pretty much got the same situation. A lot of hilarious tracks, but a bunch of forgettables too. The first thing I noticed though, and maybe I shouldn't even be talking about this on a comedy record, but the production on this thing. The production. Just from the beats alone, you would assume that you've got the radio tuned into your local pop rap station, especially given that we have guests here like Nicki Minaj, Rihanna, Justin Timberlake, Snoop Dogg, Akon. It's almost like this LP is a little too close for comfort to the style of music that it's trying to create a slight parody of. I love the opening track to this LP, how it has this hard, horn-heavy, murder rap sound, but they're all rapping about how flaccid their penises are. And I Just Had Sex pretty much comes from the same exact place that I'm on a Boat did, that really kind of R&B'd, auto-tuned pop rap sound that's heavily produced. But something tells me that I Just Had Sex, whether you like it or not, is going to be getting blasted on laptop speakers throughout the dorm rooms of America for the next 5 to 10 years. But I think I laughed the hardest on the dubsteppy I Threw It on the Ground, which is really quotable. My dad is not a phone! And I'm totally forgetting about the title track, Turtleneck and Chain, which is the same kind of weird wardrobe humor that I get out of watching like Tim and Eric Awesome Show Great Job. I'm really praying for a music video for that track. And Snoop Dogg is great on it too, talking about how the thinner your chain is, the more gangsta it is. But there are a lot of songs here where I'm not laughing at all, like The Creep, which is pretty funny when I'm watching the music video, but when the visual jokes aren't there to aid things, it's a pretty boring song, especially when Nicki Minaj comes in, who doesn't have a joke in her verse. Michael Bolton was funnier on Jack Sparrow. Michael Bolton funnier than Nicki Minaj. There you go. There's just a good bunch of tracks here that just aren't ridiculous enough to me, like Shy Ronnie, Trouble on Dookie Island, or After Party. And of course there are those tracks that have a joke in them, but they repeat the joke forever until it's not funny. But repeating jokes until they're not funny is a pretty SNL thing to do, you know? I like music. I hate you. To me, this thing is just kind of a spotty album, but should we be surprised? That's how their last LP was. And the thing is, The Lonely Island has always been more about the single and the viral video. That's what got them here, and that's the formula that they're going to keep going with. Still, it's nice to have a group out there that is there to remind us that, you know, sometimes we're taking ourselves too seriously. Musicians, music fans, and music reviewers. So, I have to give this thing 5 out of 10 big gigantic penises made out of 8s, equal signs, and Ds And that's just pretty much how I feel about the album. Let me know what you think of this thing. How would you score it? How many big giant penises with 8s, equal signs, and Ds would you give it? And yeah. What do you think I should review next? Anthony Fantano, The Lonely Island, forever.